there, it's Rayanne with Trailblazer RV. I'm here today to take you through a new RV orientation on a 2020 SportTrek 332 VBH. We'll start right here at the front of the trailer. So this is where you will find your propane and battery systems. To access the propane tanks, you just lift off the cover. Under here you'll see two 20-pound propane tanks. These are both full right now. This is the auto changeover regulator. You'll see right now in the sight glass it's showing red, showing that there's no propane pressure to the system. If I open this valve slowly, you'll see that sight glass changes to clear. Right now what the regulator is indicating is that this is the supply bottle. If you open both tanks, when the supply bottle runs empty, the regulator will automatically switch over and start drying off of this tank. But the sight glass will start showing red again to indicate that the propane tank is empty. Once that happens, you can switch the regulator over to what was previously the reserve bottle, and at that point you can remove this bottle and refill it. Behind that, we've got your battery. This unit has a RV24 series battery. Two leads going to the battery, both from the trailer. You'll notice a red wire and a black wire. In an RV, the red is always the positive, and in this case, black is your negative. Also back here, you'll have a battery disconnect switch. Right now, it's selected to the green setting, indicating that we have power supply going to the battery, or to the RV from the battery. If you are going to be storing the RV for a while, you can just switch that to the red, and that will disconnect the draw from the battery to the trailer, preserving a little bit of your charge while your RV's in storage. Come around the side. In the front compartments, you'll notice we've got a few items for you. First is your 30 amp 110 volt power cord. You've also got a couple of cranks in here, one for your stabilizer jacks and one as the manual crank for your power front jack in case of the loss of power. When using the stabilizer jacks, make sure to crank the stabilizer jacks down just until tight. They are not intended to lift or level the unit. They are only intended to stabilize. If you're trying to lift or level the unit with it, you have a chance of bending these. That's not what they're meant for. Up here you will find your freshwater supplies. Your freshwater connection for filling the fresh tank, and also the city water connection. For the fresh tank, to fill it, you just put your garden hose in here, preferably with a filler nozzle that just makes it a little easier to fill the fresh tank. It keeps the garden hose from falling out of here while you're trying to fill it. And also your city water connection. If you're at a campsite that has a city water supply, you just hook up to this connection. You don't have to fill the fresh tank. When hooking up to city water, however, we recommend you use a water pressure regulator. The water system in the RV is only rated for about 40 to 45 PSI, and many of the campsites, water pressure is either unregulated or higher than that pressure. If you hook up the water supply to pressure higher than the 45 PSI, it's likely to cause leaks in the RV. So make sure when hooked up to city water, you have a water pressure regulator on. Also, just below that, under the unit, is your freshwater tank drain. Right now it is empty, indicating that the freshwater tank it is open, indicating the freshwater tank is empty. To fill the fresh tank, just close that valve to keep the water in. Back here we have the connection where that 30 amp cord is going to plug into. It's a twist lock, so you'll push the connection in and then twist to lock it in place. Your RV is supplied with that 30 amp cord to plug in if the site has 30 amp. We also supply a 15 amp adapter if all that's available is your standard house outlet connection. Also here is your outside shower, hot and cold outside shower. The only thing really to remember here is do not forget to do this when you're winterizing. We replace many outside shower faucets in the spring if people have forgotten to winterize them, so just be aware that that's there and make sure not to forget it. Down here at your running gear, you've got your tires are filled to 80 psi. It's stamped right on the side of the tire, 80 psi cold pressure. We recommend running it at that pressure. Wheel nuts are also torqued to 100 foot-pounds. Just important maintenance to check the tire pressure and the torque on the lug nuts every once in a while or before a big trip, something like that, just as part of your regular maintenance. One other point on the running gear, the wheel bearings do need to be repacked every once in a while. The manufacturer recommends every 8 to 10,000 kilometers or 2 years. So make sure to do that wheel bearing repack to keep your running gears running smoothly. Also down here is your sewer holding tanks. So you've got your wastewater and your black water holding tanks. You'll have two valves down here. This is your black handle and your gray handle. We do supply a medium heavy duty sewer hose that will just connect onto the end of this pipe. To dump your black tank, just pull the handle out and wait until the water stops running. Once that is dumped, you can close the black handle and open the gray handle. What this will do is help flush out the pipe and anything in the sewer hose to make it a little bit less messy when you disconnect the sewer hose. Also important to remember to flush the black holding tank periodically. There can sometimes be a buildup of toilet paper or solid waste in there that can disrupt the probes in the holding tank from reading properly. So if you flush that holding tank, that'll keep it clean inside and your probes reading properly. Also important to remember to always use RV safe toilet paper and holding tank chemical in there to help break down the waste and also cut down on the smell from the holding tank. Back here on the back of the unit, you do have a black flush connection. If you hook a garden hose up to this, after you have dumped the black tank, but with the valve still open, it will spray out the inside of the holding tank and help keep that clean. Just important to never confuse this with the city water connection. If you hook the hose up to this and walk away with the valve closed, you can end up with a big mess on your hands. Here we have your hot water tank. So this is a gas electric water heater. Down here you will notice a on-off rocker switch. If you intend to run the water heater on electric, you need to switch this switch into the on position. Now I'm going to leave it off to reduce the risk of accidentally firing the water heater on electric, because if the tank does not have water in it, it will burn out the elements or trip these resets. If these resets do get tripped, you can just push them in. You'll hear a click to indicate that they've reset. Just for a point of note, this is your 110 reset and this one is your propane. The other thing to note on the water heater is down at the bottom, it's the plug, but it's also a sacrificial anode rod. If you pulled that plug out, you would notice a rod about this long. That rod over time will become corroded and pitted. That is perfectly normal. It's doing its job. What it does is preserves the lining of the tank, and the minerals in the water will corrode that rod rather than the tank, extending the life of your water tank. It is normal for it to look corroded and pitted. It needs to be replaced when any part of the center rod, about the thickness of a pen, is starting to show. At that point, we recommend you replace the anode rod. Depending on the water you get into, that's likely every 2 to 3 years. This unit is equipped with an outside kitchen. To use it, you just pull the sink or the tray out here. The stove currently is not connected. You will need to connect it and disconnect it when you are running it back in. To do so, the hose is supplied here. You will connect the quick connect end onto this port down here, and then under your frame you have the other end connect. Once connected, there is a valve here. You just turn that valve to open the supply to that line. Also in your outside kitchen has a sink, again important not to forget winterizing, and a 110 volt fridge and TV. Just keep note that this fridge and TV will not work unless the RV is plugged in. This unit comes equipped with the solid step. To operate the solid step, open the door all the way. On this side there's a blue handle. You just pull the handle out and flip the step down. When you're ready to pack up, we recommend just giving it a quick sweep off and do the opposite. You just lift the step up, push to click into place. I like to give it a pull just to make sure it's secure, and then at that time you can close the door. This unit also comes with a power lighted awning. There is a switch inside to control the awning in and out, and also a switch for the lights. Just important to remember, if the awning is rolled up, make sure that light switch is off to keep the lights from getting warm and damaging the fabric. All right, we can go inside the unit. So in this cabinet just inside the door, you'll have most of the controls for your RV. You can see here the awning light I was mentioning. It is on a lighted switch, so that's a good indicator to know if the awning is rolled in, to just switch that switch off. The lighted switch next to it is for the courtesy light just above the door. And this is your awning controls here. We've got the awning out now. To retract, just press in, and again, out is just pushing out. Same operation on your slide. You've got 2 slides on this unit, one for the kitchen and love seat area, and then also one for the bedroom. Same operation on them, in to retract, out to extend the slides. Down here is your converter, which is the main power center for your RV. In here you will notice breakers for your 110 volt side, and also fuses for your 12 volt side, the parts that run off your battery. We recommend that you keep some spare fuses with you, as it's not unlikely for a fuse in an RV to blow. Your unit has 15 and 40 amp fuses, so not a bad idea to pick up a few spare fuses. Also of note on the converter, there is a cooling fan in there. So periodically, if the unit is under heavy load or the battery is charging, something like that, you'll hear a whirring sound. That is the cooling fan for the converter, similar to what's in a computer. Just keep in mind that's nothing to be concerned about. If it's making the whirring sound, it's just doing its job. Over here we have your gas range. It is a piezo ignited range, so if you just turn on the burners here, we're going to bleed a little bit of the air off the system as we have just turned the propane tanks on, so there will be a little bit of air in there. But if you turn the piezo, you'll notice all 3 burners ignite. This unit also has an oven. To light the oven, this is the only pilot light in your RV. So in order to light it, the oven knob, you're going to push and turn to the little flame symbol. That's your pilot. And then if you'll notice back in the back of the oven, you've got your thermocouple here. You're going to want to hold a barbecue lighter on that for a few seconds until it ignites. Once it has ignited, you can remove the lighter. Keep holding the pilot button in for a few seconds just to allow that to heat up. Once it's done that, you can select your temperature by turning the dial to whichever temperature you prefer. When you're done using the oven, you can either turn it back to the flame to keep your pilot going, or just shut it off and reignite the next time you're going to use it. Also has a handy blue light. It just turns on and off with this button here. Your fridge, again, propane and electric. To turn it on, you just push and hold the power button here. You'll see right now this A comes up, meaning the fridge is in automatic mode. If you have 110 power supply, it will automatically run off of electric. If that's not available, it will switch over to propane automatically. If you wanted to override that function, there's a mode button here. If you select mode, you'll see this is only electric, and this is only propane. The only time you would switch out of automatic mode is perhaps if you're on a campsite with a weak breaker, that you don't want to have that extra power draw on from the fridge. Or some people will do it because it will cool slightly faster on propane than electric. However, keeping that in mind, RV fridges do take a long time to cool down, so we recommend turning it on the night before you are planning to fill it, just to give it that time to cool down. There is also temperature adjustment on here. Right now it's selected 3. You can turn it up to 5 or down to 1 if required. We generally leave it on 3 unless we're finding that we need more or less cooling. Down here you have your propane CO2 monitor. This monitor will do 3 things. Number 1, it will alert you to a propane leak. Number 2, it will alert you to a carbon monoxide leak. And the third time it will go off is if the battery in the unit is low. If you find that the alarm is going off in more of a slow beep function, that is indicating a low battery rather than a propane or carbon monoxide situation, which is the most likely times these go off. But just be aware that it does still need to be taken seriously, and if the alarm is going off, you need to take precaution. This unit is equipped with a fireplace. It is an electric fireplace, so it will only work when the unit is plugged in. But it is a high power draw. So what they've done is you have a switch. You can select either fireplace or air conditioner. You cannot have both on at the same time. And if you find you're trying to run either the fireplace or the air conditioner and it's not working, come check this switch and make sure you've selected the right appliance that you're intending to use. Your air conditioner is controlled here on your thermostat. You've got 4 settings, I guess, on here. Cool, which would be your air conditioner. Fan, which just runs a circulating fan in the air conditioner unit. Both of those you need 110 power to work. off, obviously, and then heat, which will control your furnace. So to make it work, for the furnace, we're going to turn to heat and select the temperature we want. When the furnace ignites, you're going to hear that fan came on. It will run 20 to 30 seconds to do a purge cycle before it tries to ignite. It just ignited there. Now heat is flowing through your vents. When you're done using the furnace, when you shut it back to off, you're going to notice that the fan will run for, again, another 30 seconds to a minute to finish that purge cycle. Even though the flame has gone out already, it is going to run through that cycle. On the air conditioner, we're not plugged in now, so it's not going to work, but it's the same function. Turn to cool, again, select your temperature. That air conditioner will kick in on its own from there. It does have over here different fan speeds. We recommend always leaving it in auto unless you are running strictly the fan. The fan, if is switched to a high or low setting rather than the auto, will run continually even if the furnace is running. So it's kind of counterproductive there. So we're going to leave it in auto. In the bathroom, we're going to find our control panel for our monitor system, water heater, and pump. So you'll see right now, your fresh tank, black tank, and gray tank are all indicating that they're empty. This monitor panel does have a gray 2 tank. This RV is only equipped with the one holding tank, so this is just a dummy button here. To turn the water pump on, again, there's the switch. We heard the water pump kick in. This is where you'll run your water heater on propane. When you turn that switch on, this fault light's going to come on. That light will come on to tell you that the water heater has not ignited yet. But if you just give it a couple minutes here, or a couple seconds, you'll hear it clicking. It's the water heater igniting, and you'll notice that light has gone out. To run the water heater on electric, you will use this switch. Just turn it on, but also remembering for it to work on electric, that switch on the outside of the water heater also needs to be in the on position. The other thing of note in the bathroom is your GFCI, your ground fault interrupter circuit. Similar to an outlet in your bathroom, it's got the test and reset buttons on it. But in an RV, generally all, if not all, most of your outlets will be connected into this same circuit. If you find you're plugged into 110 power and you're not getting any power to your outlets, it's likely that this GFI is tripped. You'll just need to come in, press the reset button, and you should have power flowing again. Here's your toilet. As we had indicated before, make sure you're always using holding tank chemical when using the holding tank in the RV. To put that chemical in, you'll just drop either your pouch or your crystal or your liquid into the bowl. We recommend pushing the pedal down halfway, filling the bowl with water just to activate that chemical, and then flushing it down, and that will recharge your holding tank for the next use. This is a bunk room unit. Not a lot to show back here other than this one bunk does fold up. To put it down, just pull the pins and place it down. This bunk has a 200-pound capacity, so just make sure to not put more weight than that on there. Again, to put it back up, just lift it and slide the pins back into place. This sofa will also fold out into an additional bed if more sleeping area is required. And then the master bedroom area, not a lot to talk about here either. This bed will lift up for some extra storage under the bed, just if you're looking for extra storage. And the other thing of note in here is your connections if you choose to add a TV here. There is the port that'll connect to your antenna here. Just make sure you have a coax connected to that. For mounting the TV, there will be a backer in here. It'll be a metal plate. To find that plate, we recommend you just use a magnet, and that will help you indicate where the backer is to install your TV. And that about concludes it for the orientation on this SportTrek 332. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us here at Trailblazer RV or check out our website at www.trailblazerrv.com. Thank you.